Good evening. Welcome to this special presentation of the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin. I'm Orlando Tobias. I'll be your moderator for this evening. And this evening we're going to present to you a special presentation on the introduction of the Caribbean Guilder. As of March 31st, we will be introducing here on St. Martin and Curacao the Caribbean Guilder. And this evening what we're going to do is we'll have a two-part presentation. First, we're going to do a presentation on the process, the timeline, and the security features of the banknotes and the coins. And the second part of this evening's program will allow you to pose questions on anything that is specific to the presentation delivered, and anything that is not clear to you, we'll hope to bring some clarity to it. We're going to, of course, encourage you to pose your questions directly from the Facebook CBCS page in order for us to pick those up and then provide you with the proper responses. As we go into the first part of this evening's program, it will be presented by the Director of CBCS St. Martin Office, Ms. Raquel Lofo-Wang. At this time, I'll give the word to Raquel as she does the presentation for you. Raquel, good evening to you.
Good evening, Mr. Tobias. Thank you for this kind introduction. And from my end, also a warm welcome to those that are listening both in Curacao and St. Martin. Mr. Tobias already mentioned that we're gonna have a two-part presentation for you. First, we're gonna speak about the theme. Then we're going into some general information for you. We'll discuss important days. We'll share with you the insights about the transition process. Then the second half, we'll go into the security features of the banknotes, the coins, and then finally, a Q&A. So regarding the theme, what was very important to us is that we found a theme that resonated with both the population of Curacao and St. Martin. What is something that both countries recognized themselves in and felt that it represented them and the islands in a perfect way. So after long deliberation and careful consideration, we ended up with a theme, the underwater world. We posed sea creatures in the front, and on the back of the banknotes, we have historical elements. Why sea creatures, or fish, if you can call it that? They see no boundaries. They move freely from one island to the next, and it also represents as a metaphor the unity that there is now between Curacao and St. Martin as being part of one monetary union. The introduction date is March 31st, 2025, which is right around the corner. Okay. Some general information that I will share with you at this time is that there are 5 banknotes and 7 coins. The coins are shared, both in a coin set for Curacao and a coin set for St. Martin. And both the coins for St. Martin have St. Martin on it, and Curacao has their own coin set. However, both coins can be used in both islands and will be distributed accordingly. All that I'm sharing with you now is stipulated in de regeling gemeenschappelijk vuilstelsel, Curaçao and St. Martin, which basically told us, make sure that when you introduce the currency, these are the rules that you have to abide by. For the banknotes, the denominations are a 10 guilder, a 20 guilder, 50 Caribbean guilder, 100 Caribbean guilder, and 200 Caribbean guilder. As you now see, the 25 guilder that we know and the 250 guilder are not coming back. This change was made because internationally, you now have a 20 euro banknote and a $20 banknote. So this was done to have it more aligned with international standards at this time. For the coins, you have a 1 cent, a 5 cent, a 10 cent, a 25 cent, the 50 cents is coming back, a 1 guilder, and a 5 guilder. So how will this look like on your bank account when you do international transfers? What you have to look at. The currency symbol, the one that is used for your international transfers that you probably will see also on your bank statement, is a currency code XCG. CG stands for Caribbean Guilder, and X is a rule that the International Currency Organization has, that once you share a currency between two islands or two countries or more than one country, so to speak, the currency code has to start with an X. Similar is also as it is in the Eastern Caribbean at the moment. Your currency symbol, that's a symbol that you will see in the stores, will be CG, Caribbean guilder. For the exchange rate, 1 guilder equals 1 Caribbean guilder. So in practice, the value of your currency will remain the same. And I think it's important to repeat this one more time. The value of your currency will remain the same. The introduction of the Caribbean guilder is no reason, will not cause any devaluation of the currency as it is. I've heard this, a lot of people have mentioned it, that is a cause for concern. It's not. 1 Antillean guilder equals 1 Caribbean guilder. Also internationally, the peg that we have to the dollar as $1 equals 179 ANG at the moment, that will also remain the same. So our $1 equals 179 Caribbean guilder. So there too you will see that the peg that basically stabilizes the value of our currency internationally remains the same, and it has been for 15 years. And in our monetary policy, we will continue to ensure that this currency and this value remains the same. Some important dates. On March 31st, 2025, the new Caribbean guilder enters circulation. Thereafter, the currency will have a co-circulation period together with the Antillean guilder of 3 months up until 30th of June 2025. So in the first 3 months, both the Caribbean guilder and the Antillean guilder are legal tender. 9 months thereafter, up until the 31st of March 2026, you can still exchange your Antillean guilder at the commercial banks. So the first year, you can exchange your Antillean guilder at a commercial banks. 29 years after the 31st of March, you can then exchange your Antillean guilder at the central bank. So in total, this whole transition process, the time that you have to exchange your Antillean guilder into Caribbean guilder is a total of 30 years. I mentioned there's a co-circulation for 3 months. So that makes it a little bit easier. And why this was also done, because it's not expected that as of March 31st, 2025, everybody will walk with Caribbean guilder in their wallet. It will take some time for the funds to go from the central bank to the commercial banks, then reach into your wallet and go to the stores. So that's why there's a transition period of 3 months. On April 1st, however, and not on March 31st, your bank accounts will automatically be transferred from Antillean guilder into Caribbean guilder. And this was done in consultation with the banks, our main stakeholder in this process, because they asked us to do that, and not on March 31st, to ensure that they were able to close their month and their quarter in one currency. So in close consultation with them, the date was chosen to be April 1st, 2025. As for the ATMs, the process of converting the ATMs from Antillean guilder to Caribbean guilder base, this will also take some time. You have a lot of off-site ATMs. This cannot be done one time. So this process will also take some time, and we expect it to be maximum 2 to 3 weeks. That is our expectation. I mentioned that you have until March 31st to do all your exchanges at a commercial bank. So March 31st, 2026 is the last day that you can go to a commercial bank. However, there's one exception to this rule, and that are the unbanked. In order for this transfer and this transition to be as exclusive as possible, people without a bank account can exchange cash at the central bank from day one. Up until 2,500 guilders, you can come in one time and we will do the transfer for you, no questions asked. After 25 or above 2,500 guilders, this will be done on an appointment basis and also by filling in the necessary documentations, a source of funds, declaring where the funds are coming from. The reason why we are doing this is the following. The central bank is the regulator of the financial sector of Curaçao and Sint Maarten. We asked the financial sector, and specifically in this case the banks, to adhere to international guidelines as it comes to ensuring that our country is not a center or becoming a center for money laundering and the financing of terrorism. So in that respect, we also have to adhere to the same rules and guidelines. So we also will ask questions when it comes to people that are coming in with certain amounts of funds above 2,500 guilders after the first time when they come to the central bank. The information can be found on the website of the central bank. So, for a currency, what is important where you're looking at a currency? It has to create confidence. It has to be counterfeit resistant. It has to be easy to identify for the end user. It has to be durable. It has to be a symbol for the country. And it has to be attractive. Our slogan for this currency is Treasures of the Caribbean. In the banknotes and the coins, and the way how we depicted this is to showcase Curaçao and Sint Maarten as the treasures that they are within the Caribbean.
Yes.
I'm now going to go into the second part of my presentation. How do you check if a banknote is genuine? You can do that in three ways. You can look at a banknote, you can feel it, and you can also tilt it. And what I will do in this presentation is go with you step by step and show you different ways how you can make sure that you're dealing with a genuine banknote. We're going to discuss general security features, the watermark, the see-through feature, high relief printing, also the elements for the visually impaired. This was very important, as hair inclusivity was also a main factor. We'll discuss the motion surface, the rapid detect security threat, the spark flow, color changing ink, and iridescent ink. These are a few security features that I will share, but I must tell you a secret. This banknote is so secure that even though I'm sharing with you a lot of the security features, there are more. And other security features will not be shared with the general public, but it will also only known to special entities, zoals the marechaussee, the douane, and of course, some will only be known to the central bank. So for look, the color is important, the design, the dimension, the orientation, the serial number, the signatures, and the date. I will now go in each specific banknote and give you a few of their highlights. The 10 guilder banknote is a predominantly yellow banknote, and the main character on the front is the gray angelfish and the queen conch.
Okay.
And then at the back of the note, you see the lighthouse of Klein Curaçao. On the 20 guilder banknote, this is a predominantly blue banknote with in the front the spotted eagle ray and the yellow cowrie, and the back gives a view of I'm in Sint Maarten based, so of the Simpson Bay Lagoon. For the 50 guilders, you see this is a predominantly green banknote. The front shows the green sea turtle and the favorite tanning shell, and the back shows the beautiful Playa Knipa beach. For the 100 guilders, this is a red, pinkish banknote with a spotted parrotfish and a common music flute. And then the back you see the courthouse of St. Martin. And the final banknote is a 200 guilder banknote. It's a predominantly purple banknote. The main characters are the long snout seahorse and the giant tuned shell. With at the back, the Queen Emma Bridge as taken from Otra Banda. And in the far end of it, you also see the Wilhelmina Kade. So we spoke about the orientation. If I go back one slide, you see that the front of the banknote is different than the back of the banknote. So the front of the banknote is actually in landscape, and the back of it is in portrait. This was done to make sure this is actually an additional security feature, making it more difficult to counterfeit as well. All banknotes have the same dimension. Actually, there's exactly also the same dimension as now, with a measurements of 147 by 66 millimeters. The serial numbers, every banknote has its own unique serial number. Those you see on the back of the banknote on 2 places, so that when the banknotes are machine readable, they have to align with each other. In front, you see the signatures. This is from the president of the central bank and the executive director, the directeur-secretaris. And the date of the banknote is on the 31st of March, 2025. This is the first issue. This is in the back, one spot, and you will see it there. So all the prints for the coming 3 to 4 to 5 years, because we've printed enough banknotes to have them in stock for the coming years, should say the 31st of March 2025. If you see a banknote now with another date, run.
Just that.
As for the look, there's a watermark in the banknote and also a see-through feature. Every banknote has in the white area here a watermark. You will see it is a multitonal image with a compass with the arrows pointing northeast, and at the bottom you will see the letters XG when you hold this to the light. For the see-through pattern that is actually right under the watermark, that's here. I'm not sure if you see it well.
Yeah.
But that is XCG, but on the front and the back, it's only colored halfway. But when you hold it to the light, you will see the letters XCG joined together. You can also feel it. This banknote has high relief printing, and it also has elements for the visually impaired. For the high relief printing, actually when you go over the sea creature and you feel it, there's raised ink on the front of the banknote, so on the sea creatures, on the Centrale Bank van Curaçao and Sint Maarten, on the signatures, and also the domination. This is only on the front of the banknote, so these 4 elements are very specific to each banknote, and that's why you can also know whether or not the banknote is real or not. The sea creature, you can see it if you zoom in a little bit on the image here, is that every sea creature has its own unique pattern. And this was also done to assist the visually impaired to recognize the difference between each individual sea creature that there is. So for the turtle, you will see lines here, you see the lines going horizontal, vertical, you see dots, all different patterns. So that's one way for them to know which note they're dealing with. Additionally, on the short end of the banknote, there is a dotted line, the raised ink. For the 10 guilders, it's 1. For the 20, it's 2. For the 50 guilder, it's 3. For the 100 guilders, it's 4. And finally, for the highest denomination, the 200 guilders, it's 5. So this is another element that a visually impaired can recognize whether or not which currency or which denomination they're dealing with. You have some specific security features where the banknote should be tilted. And then when I say tilted, it's actually a movement that you do from here to here. You're not going to pick it up, but I'm going to show you on the screen how that works. You have the motion surface. It's a 3D moving strip. The rapid detect security thread. And the spark flow, the color changing ink. On the left side of the banknote, let me show you. Every banknote has its own motion surface in its own individual color. And this strip, you cannot remove that from the banknote. It's actually embedded in the paper. If you tilt the banknote, as I just showed you from top to bottom, you will see a sun changing. You see some droplets moving. And you also see the shell changing color. So I'm going to show it to you now. Here you see, if you look at it, the sun changing, the shell is opening up, and the droplets moving. I'll do that one more time. You see the sun is smaller, getting bigger, the XCG. So this is one of a very advanced security feature that we have in the banknotes. In the back of the banknote, there's another strip, which is not so large. It's only 3 millimeters large. And it is actually, once you tilt it, you will see waves moving. I'll show you also here. And also both in the motion as in the rapid strip, we incorporated the theme of the underwater world in the item. And the color changing ink. I spoke earlier that every banknote has its unique coin. The ink is done in such a way that when you tilt it front to bottom, the shell will change color from blue to green. And in every shell, you will also see the denomination as part of the shell. You cannot take the shell out as well. Both, like I mentioned before, the strip, the spark flow, and the motion are embedded in the paper, so are impossible to take out. And also in the front of the banknote, this is a little bit difficult to see, but there's iridescent ink going from top to bottom. It's actually waves with XCG in it in a gold metallic color. What I will show you here is everything that I showed you, going from left to right. Let me do it like this. You see the motion, you see the spark flow, you see the iridescent ink, and then finally the watermark. And in the back, you see the waves of the rapid. So those are the security features from the banknotes. Now we're going into coins. How can you see if a coin is genuine? You can look at it, and you can feel it. Yeah. Also, the security features, you have your design, the color, the dimension, the shape, the edge lettering, and the magnetism. Yeah. So the lower denominations, the 1 cent, the 5 cents, the 10 cents, the 25 cents, and the 50 cents, all have a similar design. This was also stipulated in de regeling gemeenschappelijk geldstel Securiteitshallen Sint Maarten. On the reverse side, you see the orange blossom with Sint Maarten, either Sint Maarten or Curaçao in it. And the orange blossom is connecting, and Curaçao or Sint Maarten is connecting the sea and the sky. Yeah. On the first side, you see the denomination, you see the year of issue, you see 3 telling shells, and actually also a pearl border. And the pearl border is 3 sets of 10 pearl borders depicting 10, 10, 10. Actually, this currency should have been introduced when St. Martin and Curacao became a monetary union in 10-10-10. However, the law also allowed us to remain with the Antillean guilder until the Caribbean guilder was introduced. Another point to look at is that all coins are nickel, have a nickel or silver color. Each coin has a different measurement. Actually, they get larger from 1 cent to 50 cents. And all coins are round, but have different serrated edges. The 1 and the 5 guilder coins are different. The law, the regeling that I constantly keep referring to, specifically mentioned that on the reverse side of St. Martin's 1 guilder and the 5 guilder, you should have the coat of arms. Curacao does not have a coat of arms, so Curacao got the outline of Curacao. You will also see 2 turtles swimming to each other, also a depiction of the unity between Curacao and St. Martin in this monetary union. On the up first, you see an effigy of the king, his name Willem-Alexander, and the words Koning der Nederlanden. This effigy of the king was done with approval of his secretariat, so to speak, because they actually gave us this image of the king to use for the coin. You see also that the 1 guilder, you see it now a little bit better. The 1 guilder is bigger than the 5 guilder. However, the 5 guilder is heavier than the 1 guilder. The 1 guilder is bimetallic with 2 inserts, and the 5 guilder is bimetallic with 3 inserts. What does it mean? If you look at a 1 guilder, you're going to see a outer ring and an inner ring. The outer ring is silver, and the inner ring is like goldish, and these are meshed together. For the 5 guilder, you see 3 rings. You see an outer ring, a gold ring, and then finally another ring. And all these are also joined together. And of course, the more rings you have, the more difficult it is to counterfeit a coin. That's why the 5 guilder coin, the higher value coin, has 3 inserts. I spoke about the size already, that they have a different measurement. They're both round. And also, on the edge of the coins, you will see the words, God zij met ons. I think the dimension, weights, and shapes are self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go into that very long. You will see that once you go with the lower denominations, from the 1 cent to the 50 cents, they get a little larger and a little heavier. The 1 and the 5 guilders, the size is different. So the 1 guilder is larger than a 5 guilder, but a 5 guilder is heavier. But I want to speak a little bit time here with the edges of the coins. Once you have them in your hand, and that's going to be very soon, you'll notice that the 1 cent is a fully serrated coin, basically a rough edge. The 5 cent is micro-scalloped, so more bubbly. The 10 cent is an interrupted serration, that is rough, flat, and then rough again, and that continues around the coin. The 25 cent is a Spanish flower, different shape as well. And the 50 cent is 11-sided plane. So basically you see that they're all round in a way, but still there's a difference. This too is assisting the visually impaired to distinguish between what coins they're dealing with. And the 1 cent and the 5 cents are both round. They have a regular flat edge. And the final security feature that I want to share with you on the coins is that all coins are magnetic. So, this brings me to the end of my presentation. I just want to take a little time to request the audience to download the app. You can download the My Caribbean Gilder app from the Play Store, the Google Play Store, or the App Store. It's available in 3 languages, English, Papiamento, and Dutch. And it gives a lot of information, a lot more than I shared here, about the sea creatures. It actually tells you which sea creature it is, what their natural habitat is, and also there's a lot more happening in the banknotes. For instance, there's plankton, there are other fish, so it goes into the full banknote as a whole. So please do that, and we're now working on an update where the security features will be added as well. So that is also important to mention. Also, you can get, we have a website, www.caribbean-gilder.com, where there's a lot of information as well. We have our Facebook and our Instagram page. And if you have any questions or suggestions, you can reach out to us, caribische-gulden@centralbank.cw.
Thank you very much for that presentation. And that is Ms. Lofo Wang, the Director of the Central Bank of Curaçao and St. Martin, the St. Martin office. I want to thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And of course, we're going to encourage those that are listening to us or watching us via Facebook. Now is your opportunity. If there's anything that you did not understand, you're free to pose a question in the live chat. And of course, I'll pose the question to Ms. Lofo Wang. Well, I noticed there are no questions in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and pose a question to you.
Yes, sir.
The question is the language of the banknotes.
Yes.
We noticed the language is in Dutch. Why not English or Papiamento for that reason?
Yeah, no, honestly, that's a very valid question. And it has been asked by stakeholders, actually the government of both Curaçao and St. Martin. It's a question that came up. The regeling that I constantly keep referring to didn't specify a language for the banknotes. However, it specified a language for the coins. The coin specifically said for the coins, the language had to be Dutch. Then we looked at, okay, which language are you going to use, which is your legal language, both in Curaçao and in St. Martin. And the one that came up is the Dutch. So that, and the fact that the coin is in Dutch, and that you want to have, to be consistent across the board, that's why Dutch was chosen. Another concern or another question that also came, okay, why not do it in more languages? But as you can see, the banknote is very secure. The designers have specific places where they paste the security features, and there was no space to add anything else to the banknote. So that's the reason why the banknotes are in Dutch.
Not English or Papiamento.
Yes.
Okay. And I noticed there is a lot of thought and effort was put into ensuring that there are elements in there for the visually impaired. That's something I haven't seen often in other currencies.
Yes. So we, when we went through the process, we wanted to make sure that this is a inclusive banknote and coin, so inclusive series, and we put a lot of thought and attention in it. And what is also nice is that in Curaçao, there's a foundation, Probista, and these were our sounding board. So once we got the test banknotes and coins, we asked them to come and feel and test to make sure if we are on the right track. And they confirmed to us that we were indeed on the right track. So they are very pleased that we were able to incorporate these elements.
And these were actually visually impaired?
Yes. Probista is that is a foundation that is, of course, for the people in St. Martin. That's a foundation that caters to the visually impaired.
I just think it's fascinating the way all those features, those elements are built in. If you can just tell us again, because especially the one where they identify one stripe 2 stripes,
Yeah.
3 stripes.
I can,
If
yeah,
you could go back, can you go backwards to that so
Yes.
we can again take a look at it?
of
I
course.
understand the 10 guilder is 1 stripe.
Oh no, I need to go. Sorry. No. Excuse me for this.
That's okay. I just found it's fascinating.
There
so
you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right back. Yes, it's right there.
Yes. So, as you can see here, this is actually the 10 guilder. I know it because it's a yellow note. So it has 1 stripe. So that is actually the lowest denomination 1. The 20 has 2. The 50 has 3. The 100 has 4. And the 200 has 5 stripes. So these stripes are on the short edges of the banknotes and allow the visually impaired to distinguish between the values, the denomination.
And they're raised stripes. So they
Yes,
can
raised ink. Yes. And it's not ink that you could rub off or that, with long use, because that's a question that was also asked. For us that are able, if I can see it, it feels like, is this really, can you really feel it? But people that are visually impaired, of course, their skills are in their fingers, and they know.
Yes, yes.
They can
Senses.
we can make the distinction.
Indeed, indeed. Now we have a question, interesting question. This is a question about the cost to print a new currency.
Yes.
Is that a question you feel
Yes.
you would want to respond to?
This is common knowledge, and we have shared this with the public before. The total project cost is 15 million guilder, and that is not only printing. So that is printing, that is preparation, that is communication, that is dealing with the stakeholders. So it's a full. We also have storage cost because we had to print a rather large volume, but we couldn't keep everything on location. So we have some storage costs involved as well. Lead times for making currencies take long. So if you do a small order, and if you want to place another order again, you're at the end of the line. So you're going to have to wait. So we chose to, of course, the larger the order, the lower the price. So we have a larger order, and then we have it at storage at the factory.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you. There's another question with regards to the name Caribbean Guilder.
Yeah,
So you say Caribbean Guilder,
yeah.
but this person says, why are we saying Caribbean Guilder when it's only legal tender in Curacao and St. Martin?
No, we
Why
gotta-
not the Dutch Caribbean Guilder?
Why not Dutch Caribbean Guilder? So when this was done, let me go back. The law that stipulates the name and the denomination and everything regarding the banknotes and the coins was done as a result, or was written prior to 10-10-10, with the expectation that the currency went into effect on 10-10-10, so to speak. Dutch Caribbean ceased to exist on 10-10-10. So a name, Dutch Caribbean, that could not work. So we looked at a name that had a commonality as well. What do Curacao and St. Martin have in common that we could base the name on? Hence the name Caribbean Guilder was chosen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
And the 200 guilder banknote, is that it's the expectation that that's going to be frequent circulation, or?
The 200 guilder banknote is not a banknote that you will see in use a lot, because what you normally see is that the higher the denomination, people are a little bit reluctant to accept it. It's the same thing that you also see with a 100 US. There's some reluctance to accept it. So we made it. We didn't print as large quantities as we did with the other denominations, and we have it there, and it is something that collectors will mostly pick up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And there were some of the features that you mentioned that if they're torn off, or if an attempt is made to tear them off
Yeah.
or take them off, it destroys the entire
Yeah,
banknote.
it's true. Yes. Those are the two strips. That is the strip that I mentioned in the front. That is the motion surface, the strip in the back, and also the spark flow. All the security features and the elements are embedded in the paper. It's a very complex printing process where it's done layer on layer on layer on layer, and in the end, you get one banknote.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
I see we have no more questions, and I also think I've exhausted all of my questions. But you can see from your presentation that indeed there are a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of research went into putting together the bill. I'm looking forward to going on the website and reading a little bit more about the different sea creatures that they use, the different, and how they put it all together, because I understand that it wasn't just pick a turtle and put him on and, and pick a fish and drop them on either.
We actually worked with a marine biologist to make sure that the combination of the turtle and the seagrass was a valid combination, and that it's not a seagrass that is poisonous for the turtle, or the coral that is there is actually in the natural habitat of the fish. So we made sure that the combinations were actually true and a true representation of the sea creatures in their natural habitat.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we're getting very close to the actual rollout. We're doing the introduction now, but we're getting very close to the actual rollout. What are your expectations from the general public as the representative of the central bank with this new currency?
What I expect and what I would ask the public to do is to remain calm. It's going to be a large transition. We prepared this really well. We worked closely with the commercial banks as well. And I also ask you to embrace this currency as your own. This is a currency for Curacao and St. Martin. It represents us as the treasures of the Caribbean that we are. And that is what I really would ask the public. Embrace the currency and use it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lofo-Wang. That was Raquel Lofo-Wang, the director of the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin here at the St. Martin office. And what you've been looking at and listening to for the past 45 minutes is the introduction of the Dutch Caribbean Guilder. And I don't know if there's anything else you would want to add before we wrap it up, Ms. Lofo-Wang.
I would like to thank you, Mr. Tobias, for moderating this event with us today. I would like to thank the public for listening and asking their questions and making this a very lively session. And a special thank you goes out to our partners in this process, the government of Curacao and St. Martin, and their corporate communications team for making sure that this event went as smoothly and as flawless as possible. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the expectation is that this presentation will remain on the Facebook page of the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin. So if there are folks that have missed it, feel free to ask them to go up on the Facebook page and they can see the entire presentation. Folks, we want to thank you very much for joining us this evening for this presentation on the introduction of the Dutch Caribbean Guilder. Thank you very much and do have a pleasant evening.